Rabbi Yosef Messas has the 5 reasons why he doesn't accept haskamot, approbations, into his book. And reason number 4 is more, the wording here is tricky, but the bottom line is, very often when rabbis write haskamot to a book, it's not like today where they say, oh, I read this book and I approve of it and have a beautiful day. They involve many teachings and subliminal messages and poems and references to other places in the Talmud. It's just, for the average person who's reading this book, they don't understand what the rabbi wants in their life. So, I prefer to skip the approbations for that. And the 5th reason is perhaps an important thing to think about in general in life. Ki lo levad hod hadarato. It's not just you, Rabbi, asher kibdani baskamato, that wants to offer me an approbation to my book. Achod harbe, there's more people, bilto, aside from you. Kol echad kafi yediato, some of them, everyone according to what they know. V'lo uchal lahamid al telam rak divrei echad mikulam. He said, and I can't do this where I choose only one, u'machirim et alam, and I'll ignore the other ones. Ki yeh mehem nichlam, because then I'll be embarrassed from them. V'et hakol lo uchal la'alot. I won't be able to print all of the letters that I received, ki yu ha'tzaot gdolot, because printing is expensive. I'm going to have to print a significant amount of introductions to my book, which I don't have the money to do. V'lechen bifanim tzohalot, with him. Something interesting. Sometimes you think that you're the only one who says something, but don't realize there are other people who also speak and share, and I'll try to explain what I'm saying. There's this nice, beautiful teaching. They attribute it to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. It's true or not, I don't know.
Which one?
If you know an Aleph, teach an Aleph. Meaning everybody should be a teacher of Judaism. Everybody who knows something should teach it to somebody else. That's a cute idea there, that everybody should be a teacher and should impart the wisdom they have to other people, but there's a danger in that too, and that is people who are not licensed and not qualified will end up teaching as well. And how are you going to be able to choose, oh, these people are okay and those people are not okay? And
no, you can put it this way. If you learn one syllable from a guy, you are respecting him as a teacher.
But that's Pirkei Avot. That's something else. If I learn from a person, I respect them. Okay. But here I'm talking about, you're giving a class, and there are people, it happens to me a lot, there are people who ask questions. Some people, those of you around this table, you ask questions, proper questions, good questions, upstand. There's some people that they ask questions and we'll judge them favorably. It's not that they don't have anything between their ears, but they've never learned how to express their thoughts properly. It will be nice to them. The problem is that such people can you make a good point, someone asks something, and it's not a good question. But it can mess it up for everybody else. You have a person that is not able to be involved in the level of conversation that you would like to have. And he says, you're writing me a letter, and you're a great rabbi, and I understand that you want me to print your letter in my book, and your letter I would print. But you see, the first rabbi I printed, because he's the greatest rabbi of this generation, of course everybody would understand, I chose him. But if I start taking on every rabbi who writes me a letter, how will I turn down those rabbis whose letters of nonsense I don't want to print in my book? That's what he's saying. And therefore I have to ask you to please not send me your letter, because I won't be able to choose yours and not choose someone else's. In a world where we're afraid to be politically incorrect.
I don't understand. I thought that a Haskama is generally from your teachers or your close colleagues, not just rabbis sending in Haskamas on your book that you know or don't know. Or
You can really not.
Imagine that when a person prints a book, any book, they have on the back, the second time they print the book, what the editor of the New York Times said, what the bestsellers weekly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So those would also fall into the category, not necessarily of Haskamot, it's not a upwards-downwards relationship, but it's a peer relationship. People who read books would then comment, and they send you in letters of encouragement. And especially in the Sephardic world, you printed dozens and dozens of such letters in the beginning of a book. It's not just your rabbis. That's a good point. That's a very good point. See, that's not necessarily the way we see Haskamot today. It's not necessarily the way Haskamot always were. You have to know that also books were sold very differently than they're sold today. Imagine I would write a book. What I do is, I don't have anybody who's going to come to San Diego to come buy my book. And there are no bookstores. It's a pretty new invention. So what I do is I send out books to rabbis of different communities. And inside of those books, there's a little letter from me. And the book says, "Dear Rabbi so-and-so, please accept this as a gift from me. If you find this book pleasing to you, please send back the cost of the book to me." This is a very normal thing in the rabbinic community. I'd send you a book. You appreciate it, please send me back. I had someone do this recently to me. They printed a book from one of the big rabbis in Morocco, and I got it in the mail. I never heard of these people in my life. That if you like the book, please send us the printing of the book cost us this much money. This is a...
It's happening in music now.
yeah,
Really?
interesting.
Yeah.
And so what happens then is the person writes back. They don't just send you a check. They send you a nice letter. I read your book. I loved your book. And a person who wants to show that other people accepted his book, they'll print such a letter inside of their next copy of the book.
They do music, they send you a CD? Or
Yeah.
they do? Oh.
If you like it, send me some money. But Radiohead did that with one of their CDs. Download the music and then send us what you think it's worth.
Really?
Very interesting. So there was a similar style book printing that was done in the Jewish community. And I think that this is an important thing to keep in mind, and that is it's not fair, because we as Jews like to pretend otherwise, being in America, but not everything a person wants to say needs to be said. The Kotzker Rebbe once was famous for saying, not everything you say you need to write. Not everything you write you need to print. There are people who, it was better that would have been kept in your head, please. You shouldn't have said it, and if you said it, you shouldn't have written it, you definitely should have printed it. Unfortunately, this desire to let everybody have a voice, let everybody say, let everybody teach. You come with a lot of people who are... I cannot tell you the amount of times I've sat with a person who's supposed to be some kind of teacher of something Jewish. Not that I know everything, I don't. There are definitely people who know far more than I. But I sit with a person, they don't know anything. You know, Zev has pointed out to me a few times that some of the speakers we get around town, they're not even regurgitating Jewish ideas. They're ideas they heard in other places and other sources, and they've switched around a few words to make it sound Jewish. They're not even Torah scholars. They're something else. They're not even a scholar at that. They're a pop scholar of that at best, and they've switched it over into some Jewish style. You have to be very careful. We've allowed the doors. It's not fair for me to say this in public, but I rarely read Jewish books in English. I wrote a Jewish book in English, so I'm not saying bad things about Jewish books in English. Some people, this is the only book I can.
If you have the ability to read fluently in Hebrew, why not? That would, of course, be the first
Correct.
choice.
I'm not talking about translations. If someone would translate classic Jewish works to English, I say read them. It's when I get a catalog of books and they have a Talmud translated into English, and a Mishnah translated into English, and a Chumash translated into English, and then 300 titles of random books on random Jewish topics written by people you've never heard of before. I question if all of that is proper material to read. How much of our Judaism is being taught to us by people who are not comprehensive in their knowledge of Judaism? You have to be very careful what you read. There are classics that for example, what we study Rabbi Navim and Ambam. That company, I don't remember who it is, they've translated dozens of classic works into English. Those are books you should read. In English. It doesn't make a difference to read them in Hebrew or in English. Well, it doesn't make a difference. But to learn things that are reliable, reputable, that the information you get from them is accurate. People hear all kinds of, it's a problem, especially Parsha classes. I've heard people come to Shul on Shabbat and, oh, I heard Rabbi so-and-so say about the Parsha. I don't know why you're listening to this Rabbi. It's dangerous. Is it bad? It's not bad. It's just a silly way to look at the Torah. Just be careful. Censor what it is that you put into yourself. And therefore he says, "V'lechen befanim tzohalot," and on that note, with a laughing face, "Avakesh michvodo," I will ask from his honor, "Michvodam mechilot," please forgive me. "V'arov avatchem," and even though I love you so much, "Yishalem Hashem palchem," Hashem should bless you in what you do. "V'yirbu mechem," you should have a long life. "V'yibnechem," your children should have a long life. "B'chol tuv sela," with all the goodness in the world. "V'tizku likbotz nidchei hagolah," and may you be able to ingather the exiles from exile. L'toch ir tila, to the city of rejoicing, b'mehera u'v'agala, very soon. Amen. Neum, this is a letter written by Hachonepo, he who is temporarily camping here. Be'ir v'em b'Yisrael, in a great city of the Jewish people, Tlemcen, in Algeria, Adonai Yarim Nisan, Hashem should uplift their honor, v'yetzilem mikol chamsan, Hashem should save the Jews here from all damage and all destruction. V'chadesh yamenu kekedem b'chodesh Nisan, may He bring to us miracles like He did in the month of Nisan and Pesach. Yosef Messas. And it says here something very interesting. After the name, it says Samech Tet. Samech Tet, many people, unfortunately, think that it stands for Sfaradi Taho, a pure Sephardic,
Sephardi.
a purebred Sephardic. Almost to the point where I've seen some Ashkenazi people, when they joke, they'll write Aleph Tet, Ashkenazi Tahor. I'm a pure Ashkenazi. Rabbi Shalom Messas was livid when he came to Israel and he heard that people thought that Sephardic rabbis signed their name Samech Tet. And he showed that there were certain Ashkenazi rabbis that also signed their name Samech Tet. He said Samech Tet never stood for pure Sephardic. Who would sign such a name? It's a stupid title. He said rather it's Aramaic for Sefei Tav. His end should be good, meaning he should live a long life. So he always signs his name Samech Tet. Now I would also sign my name Samech Tet, but because I know other people are going to think of me as purebred Sephardic, I choose to ignore it. Hashem will bless us anyways, but if you ever see this, somebody writes a pure Sephardic, it's not true. There's no such term in Sephardic literature, nor in Ashkenazi literature. Nobody ever thought of writing such nonsense.
How many Jews were in
Tlemcen? I don't know.
A large, must have been a small community.
It wasn't so small because he was a rabbi there for, I want to say almost...
You said there were streets with butchers there, so it's a sign of a fairly large, enough
Yeah,
of a community.
I'll tell you, let's tell you how big the non-Jewish community is. From there you could tell if it's a big city or not. I've never been there.
Clement.
Tlemcen
Where is it?
is a city in
Shiviti.
northwestern Algeria,
Oh.
the capital of a province with the same name. The total is 173,000 people.
73,000. Okay. That's today.
Today.
So back then it probably was quite a bit less. Let's see if I can-
In 1911, the Jews in Tlemcen numbered 5,000. He was the chief rabbi of about 5,000 Jews. Small compared to Yerushalayim. I don't know that it's so small.
But these days, 5,000 Jews being a rabbi is like being in a city this size in terms of
But there's
observance.
nobody in the city who's a rabbi of all the religious Jews here. But he's the chief rabbi. He's the only rabbi. This is his job. That position is foreign to us as American Jews. But it would be like being the rabbi of a synagogue with a membership of 5,000 people. Which in Manhattan you might hit such shuls. There might be such places like that. Alright.
We can have
Everyone will start
5,000.
some Chanukah things for the Messas tomorrow.